But you realize that government has come up with different interventions to help these people access quality education, a bit from childhood level, that is the early childhood intervention, but also even after they are given chance to exercise skills so that they can be able to earn a living. But you talked about that there is insufficiency in it. Do you think government has not done enough?
You see that there's, first of all, for me, all those programs you're mentioning, they demonstrate a goodwill from the side of the government. But the problem is the knowledge gap between the government and the specific needs, issues, and concerns. Because I can tell you the problem faced by someone with disability who is blind like me 20 years ago are not the same, because by then they never owned a phone. I own a phone now. But my phone properly, I need jobs, software. So government needs to be told that as you're bringing phones, for example, as you're bringing computers, as you're introducing computers in schools, for example, those computers must have softwares that blind people, that persons with hearing impairments can use, the captioning and so on. So, in my view, the only problem is the knowledge gap, and I'm coming to fill that gap.
This gap, the knowledge gap, as an elected leader for the 12th Parliament, how do you think you're going to bridge this gap between government and the people with disability?
I will fill this gap by ensuring that all bills under debate in Parliament pay attention to specific needs of various categories of disability. That's the only way. That's the only how do you call it? That's the value. That's the value addition that I'm bringing in the 12th Parliament.
The other thing you talked about, maybe it will be also the last one, you talked about employment for people with disabilities. Still, I will go back to government because I've seen when they are given opportunities, which opportunities? The skilling. We are seeing skilling the girl and boy child, that initiative, but they are not isolating the people with disabilities. So what kind of employment are you talking about? Because these people are also have been enabled to earn a living through the skills, maybe baking, maybe tailoring, or even mechanics.
Oh, thank you very much. Now, that one, we will begin from the skilling of a boy and girl child. If we had 2 or 3 or 1 young man or woman with a disability joining either of those skilling centers, because I've had a benefit of moving in all of them. And I asked a question, do you have a sign language interpreter? And they said no. We have some of these lessons brailled for the blind, and they even seem not to be knowing what braille is. So, in my view, that's then not an inclusive skilling of boys and girls, children in this country. Because we have boys and girls who are blind, who are deaf, who are physically challenged, and some of those skilling centers, some of them still have physical accessibility challenges. And like I said, government, I think, needs not to be blamed, but we should blame our leaders who have either intentionally or unknowingly failed to advise government. And I'm therefore coming to say, I will sit down when, for example, whichever ministry, whichever is coming to present their budget on the floor of Parliament for more allocation, and I will put it to them that the existing skilling centers for boys and girls, children, are not inclusive. I will also do research and find out the young men and women who are not educated, who are not in schools, and they have these challenges, and they cannot access those skilling centers, so that when the responsible minister appears in Parliament, I will present those statistics to him and say, look, we are saying you are skilling a boy and girl child. This is the number of girls and boys we have. You're not able to access your skilling center. Why? Because you're not accessible. And believe me, no human being, no sensible individual will fail to allocate a budget for such a cause. But again, come and look at now those who have suffered with the hurdles in education and gotten sufficient academic qualifications that can enroll them to any employment opportunity. They are struggling because the government does not have a deliberate plan to ensure that those people get jobs by government. What governments do, like they have done in education, you will say, okay, out of all the government annual recruitments, say 2% is earmarked for persons with disabilities. Now, once that is put in the law, my role as a member of parliament, when the Minister of Public Service comes next year to look for the budget, that's okay, sir, thank you. How many did you recruit last year? This number. How many of them are persons with disabilities? None. Then you'll say, Mr. Speaker, sir, should we give this guy a budget who is violating the law? So you're going to see that in the next 5 years, when I'm in parliament, you're going to see a number of people with disabilities getting jobs. And for me, when they do that, I'll go back home happy. But as a consumer, as someone who has been using and engaging with parliament, I know that not enough demonstration has been made to Ministry of Finance, for example, about the implication of not giving disability-related allocations a priority. So really, for me, I will not answer about the previous, but I'll just tell you that there is a knowledge gap. And then, how much needs to be put aside? To be honest, that requires a study, which I think I will undertake immediately. My first 6 months in Parliament, I will undertake, because Parliament of Uganda has a directorate of research, has a directorate of social of policy. So I will not use even my money. The Parliament already has the human resource there, who has to be used. So my first assignment in the first 6 months in Parliament will be to undertake a study, understand if Uganda is going to be still praised as the best country in Africa in disability interventions, like the way we are in the side of policy. How much money must the government of Uganda put aside? Now, once we are informed by a study that is conducted by Parliament, then I will be good to go.
Okay, that was it from us at NSTV today, and I think you have heard it for yourself. PWDs, people with disabilities, have had so many issues, but then we are having leaders sprouting up, coming to see that they are bringing up some change within communities. I remain Naomi Namsoke. See you.